Hi, this is Adam Kunzmiller with Board Game Geek at Gen Con 2017, and I'm joined by Corey Koneska with Fantasy Flight Games, and we're here to look at Twilight Imperium, the 4th edition. Hold on.
Alright, there we go.
What do we have here?
So, this game is going to look similar to fans who have played the previous versions of Twilight Imperium. And so what we've tried to do with the 4th edition is really look at what the fans want from TI, but also make it accessible to players that may be intimidated by TI3, because
it's an intimidating game.
It's big. You hear stories about it taking all day, like reserve the weekend. And at the same time, this is an unapologetically epic game.
Sure.
We can't trim it down to an hour. It's not going to work.
Right.
So this is still going to take you a good 4 to 6 hours to play. You'll notice it'll be a little bit snappier than TI3. We've made a lot of improvements here or there, but it still feels very much like Twilight Imperium.
Very cool.
So
those 3 hours are more densely packed with fun moments and interesting decisions, right?
I would hope so. Yeah. So, I mean, for people who don't know the game, like, as I said, it looks intimidating. There's a lot of cool stuff out here, but at its heart, once you learn how to play the game, it's pretty fast. Like, looking at the board, it's kind of what you would, what you're used to. You got little figures on the board that you can move around. You've got ships and stuff that you can build. There's kind of a couple of main systems in the core game that that drive it. Things like there's a strategy card where each turn you get to choose what your strategy is, and it's going to let you do things like build new space docks so that you can produce units or gain trade goods.
So for people who are more familiar with the game, what sort of things are they going to notice a little different in this version?
That's a great question. So some of the things that we focused on, first of all, was the trade system. In TI3, the way that trade worked was that you established a trade partner, and you'd kind of stay a trade partner for the entire game and just get these trade goods, which were just a currency, and didn't really have to do much besides not fight each other. In TI3, you got to TI4, sorry, you got to do a little more work for it. So every race has got a commodities value. And this one, he's got 4 commodities. That means that anytime somebody triggers the trade card, you get 4 commodities. Commodities are goods that are plentiful to your race, but you have so many of them, they're not super useful to you.
It's taking up space.
Yeah, you got to trade them with other people. And so what'll happen is, as long as you've got at least one ship adjacent to another race, you guys can trade commodities. So I could say this player over here, hey, I'll trade you a commodity for one of yours. I would give it to him, and when I do, he would flip it over, and let's say that he traded me some.
So really the sides are just yours and not yours.
Yes, and so he trades some over to me. So these ones now, I could spend the one that he traded me, but these other 2 that I have, I can't spend. And so it's a lot more fluid, the alliances in the game. You have to take it more on like a turn-by-turn basis. And in fact, what it does is it makes you form alliances with the people that you're most likely to fight with.
Right, because that's the one you're surrounded by, right?
I just gave money to the guy that can use it to build more ships to invade me.
Sure.
So that was one of the main changes that playtesters reacted really positively to. There's also the way politics works in Twilight Imperium. In addition to like combat and technology and all these things, you've got politics, which is once somebody has landed on Mechatol Rex, this is the capital of the galaxy that's long since fallen, and we're coming back from our home systems and exploring the galaxy again. As soon as someone's taken Mechatol Rex, now we have decided that we're going to restart the political council, which means that at the end of every single round, we're going to have the council's going to come together and we're going to vote on stuff. And the way that works in this edition is you do have political cards like there was in TI3, but you always draw 2. And we're going to vote on one of them. This one here, let's see what the luck of the draw gave us. Incentive program. This one we could vote for to reveal some more objectives, which are the ways that we get victory points. And then we would vote on this one, and then it would either pass or fail. And then with whatever votes we had left, we would vote on the next card. And so there's a lot more kind of discussions, and sometimes you want to hold back your votes because something scary might come up.
Better might come later.
One of the other really fun things is in the action cards, which are just kind of the special ability cards that you can play. Some of these are actually riders, which you can say, you know what, if this law passes, this rider says that We're also tacking on to this that if this passes, I get to choose a system, and nobody gets to activate that system this turn.
I already found what's going to be my favorite card.
Yeah.
I play confusing legal text.
Yeah, it's confusing legal text. This is so. Let's say that you were elected for something. It's like, we decided that you're going to be the Minister of Peace, which means you can't attack people or whatever. You're like, you know what? There's confusing legal text. This is going to affect you instead of me.
Nice.
You read the contract wrong. So
Nice.
all of the cards have been redesigned. I was telling some people earlier that for the last 10 years, I've been answering any rules question that goes on the Fantasy Flight website about Twilight Imperium has been coming to my inbox.
Right.
So we have 10 years worth of kind of hearing what people like about the game.
You're
what
also
they're
really
confused
familiar
about.
with what is confusing to people the most. and
Exactly.
common pitfalls, that kind of thing.
And so we took that opportunity to really kind of redo the rules, streamline some of the elements that just didn't make sense to people. There's a lot of minor things that you might not notice that are just terminology that make the game more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, the way technology works now is there was like a tech tree that you'd have to navigate to figure out what text you wanted to buy, and now it's just a color prerequisite system. And all the technologies that affect your ships are actually right in front of you. So if I wanted to upgrade my cruisers, I would resolve the technology strategy card, but as long as I have one tech of each of these three colors, I just put this down, and now that's its new stats. There's no like cross-referencing cards
Right.
like this
Cool.
gives me a +1 or it's a -1. So those sort of things just make the game a lot more approachable and easier. to play.
minimize, downtime that's not fun,
Exactly.
that kind of stuff.
And so even though it's still a big epic game, it moves a little bit faster.
Sure. Very cool. I'm sure there's a lot of people very excited about this. But
Yeah,
once
I
again,
am.
thank you, Corey, for walking us through the Twilight Imperium 4th edition.